If you look at the picture on this profile, you will see a heavily built man closing the door of the limousine after Jomo Kenyatta has left the limousine. He is bending over, looking at the president. Because it is a still picture, you will not see him opening the door. Actually, he had opened the door for the president, and after the president had left, he closed the door. The man is called Wanyoike Thungu. Full names were Arthur Wanyoike Thungu. Today's narration is about him. We are going to look at his history from his childhood up to the time that JM Kariuki died. But before we look at his history, we will look at the role that he played. It may be as a repeat, but it is a corrected repeat of his activities on the day, or not only his activities, but the activities of all of them on the day that JM Kariuki died. And then we will also look into what we call CCC. You have made comments. You have corrected me, and you have criticized me. Mere words cannot explain my appreciations for the same. I do understand that the voice volume is not good. I do understand that I need a body mic. Even millionaires do budgets. I will give you a pay bill, but of priority to me is the editing and publishing of my memos. After that, anything remaining, I may buy such things as body mic. My book is of a priority. It has been on my memory card for 5 years. The pay bill, I'll give that as a priority. For the time being, let us have whatever we have. It is more important the content than the content of our discussion is more important than the clearness of our voice. But should you or any other sponsor finance it properly, whom am I not to do that? With your criticism, comment, and correction, it makes me learn more than even what you learn from here. So I am highly indebted to you. Thank you. I have tried in all my narration and even in my book. I know I have learned a lot since Kenya became open. For those who are young, you may not understand that there were a time when discussing certain issues was a problem. But now Kenya is open, we are finding that it is even becoming easier to exchange ideas. I was not there. I had it from somebody, maybe you had it. Let us sit down, let us be open, let us share, and let us come out with a clear picture. Who knows? Maybe even relatives of those who were there may have been told by those who were there, and they may come out and disclose that. History will be richer if we have the whole picture, the clearest picture we can ever have. That is now with the CCC, correction, comments, and criticism. Somebody, while criticizing me, or commenting, I could say even correcting, said that, and I do totally agree with him. He says that all evidence show the bombing, the everything, the whatever. There is a lot of evidence to show that a decision had already been made for JM to be killed. And evidence I'm giving, evidence I've been giving, and evidence I'll be giving, I'm trying to be as original as per the time when I was handling those information when I was in the system. So yes, I'll give evidence according to what I received, and if you correct me, I will come up with an additional one to say how you have corrected me. I think it is unfair for you to correct me and then I come with an hybrid version. Now, back to the story that most likely a decision had been made for JM to be killed. And all evidence show that. And then somebody tells me, this idea of Ben Geddy agreeing to give out the gun, don't you think that he gave out the gun unwillingly because he had reached a stage where he saw that short of giving out the gun, there was no way JM would go to where they wanted. I agree. It makes sense. So it is quite possible that even giving, and to support that idea, the taxi driver at Hilton, you remember JM Kariuki telling that taxi driver that, take the number plates of this vehicle, do this and that. If I'm lost, you'll have that evidence. So we agree with that. And you see, ours is second, third, whatever generation evidence. But if we can join up together with all evidence, everybody giving his or her version, then we can come up with a middle story that can be easily be said that it is the nearest evidence to what really happened, or it may even be whatever happened. I think I've cleared with correction and whatever. So he is the one who started a system that ended up in JM dying. There was a heated argument between him and you see there are these people whom it is wanasema werevu wawili hawezi kaa pamoja, lakini wajinga wawili wanaweza kaa pamoja. So these people were strong opinionate and they had difference. So there are also two versions, but generally of the two versions, the agreement is that Wanyoike Thungu was not happy with the way, in his observation, that JM was deemed to be undermining Jomo Kenyatta. Now, who is this Wanyoike Thungu? Wanyoike Thungu, for those who are there today, and I want to turn up to Raila's supporters. Raila's supporters, you make any comment that is 99.99, that is not enough. You have to be very loyal to Raila. Otherwise, the comments you get, if you are somebody of a small heart, as they say in Kiswahili. Now, Raila has, I think, two of his bodyguards, civilian bodyguards, are known. There is this slender fellow who was recently kidnapped, and then there is this heavily built person. I want to equate Wanyoike Thungu to that heavy one. This is somebody, nowadays wanasema bouncer. This is somebody whom, in a stadium where there is riot and there is need to evacuate Raila, this gentleman alone can evacuate Raila from a stadium which is riotous and take him out safely. So Wanyoike Thungu was somebody of that nature. This is today's Raila's bodyguard. today's version is that Raila's bodyguard, and Jomo Kenyatta's version is Wanyoike Thungu. I hope Raila people will not be annoyed, because anything seen to be criticizing him is met with an instant abuse. Now, Wanyoike Thungu also came from the village Ishaweri, where Jomo came from. When Jomo Kenyatta came from London after a long stay there was what we used to call Kenya African Union, KAU. This one was broken into two to make KANU and KADU. So KAU, and it is up to the other day that youth wingers, political youth wingers, were seen as ruffian, as people who do the dirty work for politicians. It started with KAU, and the original youth wingers, for those of us who were there in the 70s and 80s, you know what I'm saying. The original youth wingers were people like Wanyoike Thungu. The way this Raila's bodyguard is what Wanyoike Thungu was to Jomo Kenyatta. So fast forward, Jomo Kenyatta comes from London, he's jailed, he comes out of jail after so many years, and he becomes the prime minister. Wanyoike Thungu was a police officer. If you can watch my tape on Waiganjo, I said Waiganjo was a police reservist. Yes, Wanyoike Thungu was made a police reservist by the commander-in-chief himself. The commander-in-chief wanted him to be placed in the presidential escort. But presidential escort, you have first of all to have been a police officer, either in the general duties or in the GSU. And his age and education could not allow. So the only option was to make him a police reservist. For presidential escort, they are trained in Israel with the American Marine and so on and so forth. But since this one was not, and he was a police reservist, he had to be trained in other countries as a police reservist. And he, you know, he behaved in some funny way that he used to kill people openly. There was an incident somewhere near Nakuru where a madman rushed to the president. Instead of him being restrained and taken aside. You have seen cases, I think you have seen cases with Moi, Kibaki, and even Uhuru. I don't think as of today we have seen that case with Ruto. There are cases where you find somebody goes to, I think it happened with Ruto in Kisii. Somebody comes out of nowhere, starts shouting, he heads up to the dais, and the presidential security are trained to restrain him and take him out. He should not even be pinched, but out of sight, well, God knows what happens. You can ask the people's watchman, Mwangi, Boniface Mwangi, what happens when you have been taken out of sight. Unafinywa some places below your belt. So, you will even see that during Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, and Ruto, the person who opens the door is the ADC, aide de camp, the army man who stands behind the president, and is always in full uniform. But when Ruto became the president, on Sundays when he's in church services, I have seen occasions when he instructs his ADC to put on civilian. So, I do not know where I mean, by practice, it has now become, it is the ADC who opens the door. But Wanyoike Thungu is a person who used to stay in the limousine. There used to be 4 people in that limousine. The driver, Wanyoike Thungu, and at the back, the first lady and the president. So you can see how Wanyoike Thungu is. He started off as a youth winger. He went, President Jomo Kenyatta wanted him to be the head of the presidential escort. It could not happen. You see, The good thing, and I have to talk as an NIS officer. Of course, during our time, it was not called NIS. But I have to talk as an NIS officer by saying that when it comes to matters of security, we are very strict. I attended VIP protection in 1985, and we were told that when it comes to issues of security, you become firm and tell the VIP in a language that the VIP has no time to debate. Excuse me, Your Excellency, that cannot happen. We cannot take a bouncer and make him the commandant of the presidential escort. That is beyond us. And between me and you, the commandant of presidential escort, who later became the commissioner, Mr. Njinu, Bernard Njinu, every given time, every time they were out with the president, apart from when the limousine was moving. You know, when the limousine is moving, it is 4 people who are inside the limousine. But any other time, there is no second that the commandant of the presidential escort never minded about this person, this civilian in the police uniform. Even the people who were around him, I mean the presidential escort, the bodyguards, the people who are in suits, the people you see running as the vehicle is moving. Nobody has told me, but I can tell you for free that he must have he must have every daily briefing. You know, before they go for the whatever, they have 2 meetings. Before the president moves out for the day, the commandant of presidential escort has his people and briefs them. And then at the end of the public sessions, the president is back into the house, he's going to sleep or something. He has now been left with the normal guards within the compound. The bodyguards do have a debriefing by the presidential escort commander. And I'm very sure during those briefings and debriefing, Njinu must have always been telling those people that since he's not one of us, be careful, be very swift, and be very discreet, so that when the duty comes, you can react as expected. Wanyoike Thungu held 2 police ranks. He held the rank of inspector of police. Then one time, you know, inspector anavaa mawe mbili na simba. One time, the president was walking somewhere and he saw an OCPD with hakuona hiyo simba, aliona hiyo mawe mbili, and then he asked the commissioner, why is this police officer, kofia yake crown iko na kitambaa, firimbi yake iko maridadi, what we call force color, na ako hivi na hivi, na huyu Wanyoike Thungu hana hizo vitu zote. Kwa nini asivaa hivyo? The president was confused, and Wanyoike Thungu was promoted from inspector to senior superintendent. And something else, maybe many police officers don't know. I was talking the other day to some GSU recruits, and I was telling them about GSU training school. And do you know this place? Why is it called this? Why is it called Wambua? Why is it called Mangelepa? They did not know. Now, presidential escort people, even constables, put on a lanyard that is force color because of that incident. So that the President Jomo Kenyatta akiona maskari yake yote hata wapikipiki wako na force color lanyard, he is happy without necessarily promoting them. Because even any president, be Kenyan or any, just a president, akisimama kwa barabara na aseme promote this fellow, if that person is a subordinate officer, anapewa inspector. And if that person is a member of the inspectorate, anakuwa gazetted officer. So to confuse people, walikuwa That is the origin of those people putting on false color lanyard.